Hey guys, Foxdrop here with another video from the Acer Predator training room. In today's video, we're taking a look at the multitude of level 1 strategies in League of Legends and showing you how you can take them into your games to use them to your advantage right from the get-go. So let's get going. Contrary to popular belief, a game of League of Legends doesn't begin when the minions reach your lane. It starts at the 0-second mark. And whereas the preponderance of players may well be too lazy to effectively play level 1, you don't have to be. In actuality, you can use that fact to your advantage to get a head start before you even reach the lane. You just need to know how to do it properly, and that's where we come in. All good level 1 plays live and die by one simple concept: team coordination. Yes, it's solo queue. Yes, you probably think your teammates are primates that never listen to your calls or do what needs to be done, but trust me, it can be done. It all starts in Champion Select. Tell your team what you want to do at level 1, then when you load into the game, spam ping wherever it is you want your team to rally to. Will this work every game? No. Is it frustrating when it doesn't? Yes. But will it increase your chances of organizing your team compared to doing nothing? Absolutely. So let's take a look at the specifics of getting your team to do things at level 1. First off, let's take a look at when you should invade versus when you should set up for a defense. This mostly comes down to your team comps, but only to a degree. Whereas knowing the strength of your team at level 1 is important, it's not as important as you might think. Team coordination is almost always superior here compared to raw level 1 compositional strength. So with that in mind, my personal hot take is this: you should only prep for a defense in 2 scenarios. Firstly, if your team is slow getting out a spawn, or for whatever reason you can't organize them for an invade, or if you're against one specific champion, Blitzcrank. When it comes to your defending, you'll either want to scout or stack. The former is a great strategy for when you can't physically repel an invade due to low numbers or coordination. You're basically just seeing what the enemy team is up to. Oftentimes this alone will convince the invaders to back off, but if not, it affords you the opportunity to react accordingly. As the jungler, this is normally simply going to your topside buff and starting there, moving over to their top side as soon as you're done. You can scout out enemy invades by using your body or by using wards. Usually it's a good idea to lead with the body and transition into the wards when it's no longer safe for you to stick about. Here are the best scouting spots, essentially covering the entrances to your bot side jungle, as bot side is where most invades will occur. Make sure whenever you're standing that you're not able to get engaged on though. Stay safe. Stacking is very effective when your team is together. It's essentially sitting together in a bush and ambushing the invading enemy team as they advance towards you, blowing up the poor soul who face checks you. This is the optimal strategy for countering enemy invades, but it does require that pesky team coordination. It also counts on you knowing that the enemy team will invade, which is unreliable, except in one scenario: when you're playing versus Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank teams just love invading, which is why I heavily recommended stacking against him. You'll be able to counter his invade and get yourself a cheeky free kill. So now that we've covered defending at level 1, let's crack on with the aggressive stuff: invading. As mentioned before, team comps play their part in determining how strong your invade will be, but are not as important as the team coordination. This means that you can invade with essentially any team comp, but it is important still to recognize when you have a good level 1. Since a successful invade is often defined by getting a quick catch and leaving, crowd control is highly valuable. The simpler, the better. For example, supports like Braum, Blitzcrank, and Thresh can set up picks much easier than champs like Soraka, Karma, or Lulu. Mid laners like Twisted Fate or Lux are better than people like Vlad or Azir. You get the idea. Nevertheless, the element of surprise will be far more useful than any sort of CC. You just might have to temper your expectations a tad. So more specifically, where exactly do you want to invade? Naturally, wherever you're most likely to find unwitting prey to pounce upon. In solo queue, that tends to be the bot side, because more often than not, it's where the enemy jungler starts his clear and where his bot lane will go to leash him. Here are the best paths to invade. Make sure you're hugging walls so you're not spotted out too early, and also to invade a bit late at around the 1 minute mark or so. This affords you some time to gather your squad and also often catches the enemy team by surprise, who were expecting any invade to be committed earlier. The exception to these rules are if you've managed to get all your team bombing it out of spawn straight from the get-go. in which case you can just run into him in jungle as soon as possible. If you follow these two routes, you'll find decent success in your invades. Once you're done in the enemy jungle, I personally recommend retreating out of it and placing down wards at the buff. You can stay and take the buff if you want, but in my experience, it's not worth the headache of altering your jungler's path. Outside of high elo, a lot of junglers will be taken out of their comfort zone by this sort of abnormal start, and it can just get a bit messy. So that's the art of the level 1 invade, at least the standard stuff. There are some more cheesy strategies that you can do, so let's round out this video by talking about those. First one, waiting for the enemy bot lane at level 1. This has a similar effect to the stacking like we mentioned earlier, except it's 2 versus 2. Your level 1 power will have more sway over this strategy, so it's a bit more team comp reliant, and it's a lot easier to do it if you have an ignite. The strategy itself is easy as sin. You just sit in a bush and wait. Either wait for your opponent bot lane to come to lane from Lee Sin, or you push up and wait for them in the lane. Here are the 2 spots to sit. Simply wait for them to walk up to you and focus the squishiest target. Next up, harassing the enemy jungler at level 1. This is mostly only good if you're blue side, where the enemy buff entrance is more open. If you're a range support or an ADC with good poke or long range, you can do serious damage to the enemy jungler and their bot lane. It is very important, however, that you don't get chunked out yourself while trying to do this. It's hard for the enemy team to juggle the leash with the harass, but don't underestimate them. If you end up losing a bunch of health, you can set yourself up for a tough time in that bot lane. And lastly, a top side invade. This one involves your top laner and jungler going for the enemy top buff at level 1 with a late invade. You still weigh the buff and the chickens. If the jungle pick is good enough at doing them level 2, then you drop a ward and you carry on as normal. There are other cheesy things that you can do at level 1, but I think they're maybe a tad too cheesy to recommend them. The ones I mentioned should have you nice and sorted without risking things too much. And by following all that stuff, you'll be as good as gold with your level 1s in League. Get yourself those cheeky advantages early, find yourself some success. I'm Foxdrop, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.